For the 57th year, nearly 600 passionate amateur racers have gathered to select their national champions under a unique format. One race, winner take all. And for the first time in 7 years, their stage is America's National Park of Speed, Road America. Welcome to the Sports Car Club of America Runoffs, our broadcast presented by Mazda. After a week of practice and qualifying and 2 days plus of racing, we have crowned 25 national champions, and one remains to be crowned. That in the Prototype 1 class. Welcome to the 57th Scca National Runoffs. Hi, everybody. I'm Bob Varsha. Larry McLeod alongside. Tom O'Gorman is down in the pits. As you can see, a beautiful fall weekend here in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Temperature is a little cool, a breeze blowing, but the horse has smelled the barn, you might say. Just one 40-minute or 13-lap race remaining, and this for the ultra-quick class of prototypes.
We have saved the fastest for the lastest with these Prototype 1s, the fastest that all of the Scca offers. And you're going to see a wide variety of toys to play with as these monster machines come out there. And I'm sure as we're going to see, Tomo down there in the pits is going to get an up-close and look at these things. These are some amazing machines. They got aero, they got horsepower, and they're going to be screaming around these high-speed corners.
Let's get more from Tom now.
Larry has stole my line. Fastest for the lastest. These cars in Prototype 1 have a lot of technology, a lot of downforce. You can see behind the pole sitter of James French just how low and sleek these cars are. I went and did the math of the almost 600 cars in this event. The top 5 in this field are the top 5 fastest, so they are absolutely screaming fast. James French on the pole, that is a 1.6-liter Toyota-powered Swift. The next strew of cars behind are all the Elan DPO2. The final development is actually our second-place driver, Jean-Luc Liverato, had a big impact on the final day of qualifying, day 3. He is not, unfortunately, on the grid for Hagerty race day number 3. The sun just came out. We're in for a good one with Prototype 1.
All right, thanks very much, Tom. Indeed, James French, with that ultra-swift, you might say, is our tire rack pole sitter. And there he is. Field has fired engines, getting ready to roll off. And as you can see, these are fully body-enveloped cars, which contributes to their speed. No wheels out there in the airflow to provide drag. And unlike the production-based or silhouette cars even of the big Trans Am series, these cars are meant to cheat the wind and go as fast as possible with all the available downforce. It's a fascinating class, really.
And you would think with all these knobs to turn and all this aero that they can play with and all the horsepower they have that they might have separation between the first and the top bunch of speed. The top 6 on the grid were separated by just 1 second. So I do expect we could have ourselves a very close race on our hands.
Everyone waiting for the command to roll onto the track. It's been a fabulous weekend here at historic Road America, a 4-mile circuit with 14 turns, 10 to the right, 4 to the left, opened in September of 1955, and unique among modern road racing facilities, the configuration has not changed one bit from the day it was opened. All the great names have raced here, all the great series, and there are so many stories. We're adding a few this weekend. Finally now, our tire rack pole sitter James French rolls off. The field will follow him out. So let's line them up now with the starting grid. On pole, James French from right down the road in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, in a Swift 014 Toyota. And as mentioned, Jean-Luc Liverato from Woodstock, Georgia, and his Elan DPO2 Mazda apparently will not start the race. Row 2, more Elan Mazdas. Chip Romer from Lake Havasu City, Arizona, and Todd Vanacore from Ormond Beach, Florida. On row 3, Todd Slusher from Las Vegas, Nevada, in another Elan Mazda. And the same for John McAleer from Roswell, Georgia. Row 4, Brian French from Sheboygan, Wisconsin, in a Walt RT41 P1 Toyota. And Jason Miller from Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, the ultimate homeboy, in a Kohler-powered Woodfirst. On row 5, Johnny Crane from Kamuela, Hawaii, in a Store WF1 Kawasaki, and Jim Davenport from Alamo, California, in a Norma Auto Concept M20. On row 6, Lee Alexander from Springfield, Tennessee in a Store WF1 Suzuki, and Darrell Shaw from Reading, Pennsylvania in an Elan DP02 Mazda. On row 7, Jeffrey Lederman from Vacaville, California in a Store WF1 Suzuki, and the same car for the man at his elbow, David Locke from Lafayette, Indiana. On row 8, Greg Case from Dunlap, Illinois in yet another Store Suzuki, next to Wes Allen from Lexington, Kentucky in yet another Elan Mazda. And on the 9th and final row, Gary Peck from Cherry Valley, Illinois in a Store WF1 Suzuki, and John Dunshis from Naples, Florida in another Elan DP02. So you get the idea, a very evenly matched group because they're all driving very similar race cars. Now as the cars make their way around, I see some smoke from one of the cars further back, but we'll get to that as time goes by, maybe an oil overfill. Our qualifying awards began with the Sunoco 260 Tuesday, in which 10 gallons of free Sunoco race fuel went to the driver who, on that very first day of the 3 days of qualifying, produced a time with 3 digits to the right of the decimal that were closest to 260. Todd Vanacore, starting 4th on the field out of Ormond Beach, Florida, qualified at 204.250. Missed it by that much, but he gets the gas. And then on the second day of qualifying, Hawk Brakes provided a set of new pads in the breakthrough, the Hawk Breakthrough contest for the driver who had the biggest improvement from day 1 to day 2, and that went to the last man in the field, John Donchis from Naples, Florida, who went from a 222.881 to a 219.504. So congratulations to him. That's our field as we get set to go. One note, Todd Vanacore, starting 4th, has the opportunity to win the Scca Super Suite. That is the highest level of performance you must win on the Hoosier Super Tour season within a season contest, which he has done with 5 wins. You must also win the Majors Conference somewhere in the country in your class. He did it in the Southeastern Conference. And now all he has to do is the third and final step, which is to win his class here at the runoff. So good luck to him.
One last bit to note here, as Tom's just informed me, as James French goes out here, he's on the Avon tires. The rest of the folks behind him look like they're on the Goodyears. So we'll see how that plays out as they're all trying to get heat in the tires. The sun is poking through. Might bring the track temp up to maybe 70 degrees as the air temp's still hovering right around 60. Perhaps the Avons might be a bit of an advantage off the start. Also, you mentioned the smoke off of one of the cars. That's actually by design. That is the Windfirst Kohler. That is a 6-cylinder, 2-stroke engine that makes all kinds of great sounds around here. That's the homeboy, Jason Miller, right here from Elkhart Lake. So that's intended. They do burn some oil as they go.
Burns oil, yep. Well, oil, that's calories, so off you go.
You can see the pipes right there in that shot sticking out the back of that car. Makes a very, very distinct sound around this great racetrack.
These cars are so sleek, so obviously designed for their intended use. Rear wing set down low, cars barely 40 inches high perhaps, including the rollover bars and hood scoops. And now it's time to go to work. The safety car is off, and James French will lead the way to the green flag. They're within sight of it. Up come the revs. And we are green for the final national championship race of the 2020 runoffs. And appropriately enough, the sun comes out. Oh, trying the inside, not a great idea when you run out of the pit, out pavement.
Dicing in the middle of that pack.
Cars take a big jolt right up there over the bridge at Stratton sign. There's a bump in the track, and you can really see it with these cars.
And amounts of daylight under them, so every little crack in the pavement they can feel through those chassis.
James French rockets away to the early lead as they come down to turn 5. And look at the leaves flying everywhere. up and over turn 6. Boy, this is a real dance with the devil on cold tires.
Oh, it sure is. Just to try and get some heat in them. As McAleer is on the back of Scca there for a few minutes. Trying to give him a run for his money. And then you can see these Store WF1 Suzukis. These are Hayabusa-powered cars here. You can see they are so slick. They're just trying to duck under the wind around this really fast racetrack.
And yes, the Hayabusa is a motorcycle engine.
You see those engines, and then out the front, you've got a Toyota, and then you've got the Mazdas running those 2.5 liter. Often they run some 2 liters in some of these cars. They're all a little bit different configurations. But some car engines, some motorcycle engines. This is the prototype category. It's kind of a run what you brung class.
First lap top speed went to Brian French, running in 6th place in that Ralt RT41 Toyota, 154.5 miles an hour, and they will get quicker and quicker. Already coming around to complete lap 1 of 13. Now Chip Romer jumps out of line, but he can't get by.
He's not going to let French get away.
There's that bump I was talking about.
These two already about 2 seconds up on the next battle there between Vanacore and Scca.
Vanacore chasing that super sweep, started 4th, he's up to 3rd. Turn 7 to a portion of the track known as Hurry Downs. Scca looking to get back by, and that was close, down in 8.
Not being patient early in this race. Scca is wanting to see if he can get a little bit better pace here than Vanacore, try and see if he can keep up with Romer and French before they totally get away. These Elan DPs are relatively evenly matched.
Down in the corner. We've got a spinner here. 26, John Donchis. Naples, Florida, that is. And they just sound fast, all wound up.
Very different noises too. You've got Romer in the Mazda and French in the Toyota. Both of them making all kinds of speed down that front straightaway. You've got Miller, I should say, in the Kohler on the back of McAleer now as they come down the hill towards 3. This being Jason Miller's home track, he may know a thing or two about going faster on Road America.
True that.
McAleer now in his 3rd year in this class. That's often what you're seeing as they get into these classes. They start to stick this out for 4 and 5 years. This class is just continuing to grow. They had 14 entries last year, up to 18 this year. Really a really growing class here at the highest level.
That's the 2-cycle powered car. Look at all those pipes out the back. Looks like a rocket sled. All part of the fun here in the prototype class, final race of these 2020 runoffs. Back at Road America, final race of the 2020 SCCA National Runoffs, Prototype 1. James French started on pole and holds the lead over Chip Romer, followed by Todd Vanacore, Todd Slusher, and Brian French. Easy to spot the Elan chassis. They have that snorkel that comes up out of the engine cover. Give some breathing space to this man, James French, who started from pole, a consensus pick to win this race by the editors of Sports Car Magazine. There's a lot of experience in various series.
You cannot see an ounce of daylight on the heck. He's in every bit of the aero advantage. So now we see about this battle for second.
You saw him move over to driver's right, and the reason why is at the lower left of your screen, a tow truck sent to see what they can do. Chip Romer. You see the safety vehicles on site. That's the way it's done at the runoffs. They don't call for an entire full course caution. They make it a local caution, if at all possible, so the race can continue. And on a track as large as the 4 miles of Road America, that can make a big difference. These are short races, really quick. So you want as much green flag running as you can safely have.
As many hot poles as they can do, and they're really good at it here at a track like Road America. Good shot there of Dave Lockey. We are going to go full course in this case.
No doubt. As soon as the words are out of my mouth. Just like you talking about how well Mr. Romer was doing. Maybe we'll just be quiet the rest of the way. Very appropriate. The sun should come out, and the blue sky shining through, because that's what the weather was like for nearly all of this year's runoffs. So while we're under a full course caution and the safety car collects the field, we'll take a break and return. Today's broadcast of the SCCA runoffs is brought to you by Mazda. Feel alive.
When the finish line calls, we answer. Hit the road with insurance protection from Hagerty. Whether you drive a built racer, sports car, or exotic, and save an average of $264. Get a quote today at Hagerty.com.
It's happening more often, and that's not surprising. People are getting lost to find themselves. And discovering the best part is often hidden in the journey along the way. The first ever CX-30. Performance that inspires with available iActive all-wheel drive.
Back at Road America, working lap number 5 of 13, but under a full course caution here in the Prototype 1 class. last of the 26 classes to compete at this year's SCCA National Championship runoffs. Bob Varsha and Larry McLeod with you. Tom O'Gorman is down in the pit lane. And we'll see very shortly whether the accident site where Chip Romer spun left to right and hit the wall is cleaned up.
This will definitely tighten things back up again, just as James French thought that he had a bit of a gap and that he could maybe settle in and just run another 8 or 9 laps. Suddenly he's going to be looking in his mirrors and see the likes of the Todds, Todd Vanacore and Todd Slusher, are going to be chasing him down. And they were just getting into their groove behind him. And yet there's another French also to be back there. In this case, it's going to be Brian French. So there could be a couple of them. Perhaps James and Brian can work together here. Or Brian can just keep the pressure on the Todds. This could be interesting.
And once again, Todd Vanacore is going for that super sweep. He started 4th, passed his way to 3rd, and now with Chip Romer's accident, he is up into 2nd, with only James French standing between him and that honor. Like there's still work to do at the side of the Romer crash, top of your screen.
So that engine up there in that James French's car is a 1.6 liter Toyota. The Mazdas that are running this field, like I said, they're the 2.5 liter MZR Mazdas. And then most of those Hayabusa Suzukis are going to be the 1000 cc. There may be a few 1300s in there, depending on which restrictor they're running or what weights they're running. Most of these are around the 1300 to 14 or 1475 weights. In fact, I think if you look further back, you're going to see Jim Davenport running his Norma chassis. I think he's got a Honda in that one, and it may even be at a higher weight. So you love to see the varieties in this field.
That's how performance is equalized, using things like weight and restrictors and the like. Can't deal with fuel because there are no pit stops in these competitions. But the mechanical diversity is just fabulous. It's a bucket list item if you're a race fan and you want to see every conceivable car racing across a broad variety of classes at a real destination racetrack that perhaps you've never been to before. 10 different sites have hosted these national runoffs. Next year, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway goes back to the stage. So we plan on going. It's a week long. You can pick your days. And it's a real gathering of the motor racing clan. There's a lot of familiar names here, in addition to all these fabulous cars.
It's really a reunion as well for all the workers, for the teams, for the competitors. Sometimes they only see each other once a year. So they get together to come together at the runoffs. Sure, they're working on their cars, and they're going through their practice and their qualifying sessions, but in between, they're getting to see a lot of their friends that they don't see the other 51 weeks.
Well, there's Romer's car, substantially damaged.
Did his job protecting him. He's able to hop out of there, and that's good to see.
Right. Normally this weekend, you mentioned all the gatherings. And there are dinners and such things that are normally planned. Of course, in the current pandemic era, it's not possible to have those things. But there's plenty of room to spread out to enjoy the racing here at Road America, as there will be at Indy next year. So have a look at it.
The lights look like they're out.
Lights are out on the safety car. We are ready to go racing once again. Completing lap 6 of 13. We'll soon be at the halfway mark of this Prototype 1 class National Championship winner-take-all final. James French leads Todd Vanacore, Todd Slusher, Brian French, and John McAleer at the top 5. When the flag waves, you can go. And French does. Great restart. Picks up a couple of car lengths. Quick glance in his mirrors as he drifts left to set up for turn 1. There's tire smoke. Some brake lockup.
Great jump there for Jason Miller. I saw him pop out. Wasn't sure if he was going to be able to do anything, but he got a great jump on the outside, moved all the way to the inside. I think he picked up about 2 or 3 spots. He was in 7th, and I think he may have just moved up to 4th here, if I'm not mistaken, ahead of McAleer, maybe even to 3rd here on this restart.
I think he is. Beautifully executed restart.
It's right on the outside of the other French, Brian French.
Lives within a stone's throw of the racetrack in Elkhart Lake.
Well, Brian French is in Sheboygan, so I think these two have met once or twice, I assume.
Kohler 2-cycle powered Windfirst chassis.
They've been at this a long time with that 2-stroke. Years ago, they started out with the 4-cylinder 2-stroke, eventually going to the 6-cylinder, and they've been pushing and pushing. They've got this to a podium in last year. Here they are back at their home track trying to get this thing back to a podium. And right now ahead of their friend and neighbor there, Brian French, trying to hustle up, see if they can get up there to the battle in front there.
Take something out of Space 1999. What are the advantages of the 2-cycle over the other engines you can drop in there?
It's just the way it makes power, and obviously a little bit lighter weight as well overall. Just generally, lightweight, a lot of torque that you can make if you can get the revs in right. But the tuning them and the challenges to make them tuned in just right is part of the struggle. The other problem you run into is just the vibrations that they make. They want to just shake the rest of the car apart. I'm a go-kart guy. I run a 2-stroke go-kart, and I know the struggles to tune and keep them running right.
I suppose it would help if more cars ran the engine. You get more information, more data, more experience.
Yeah, that would definitely help. But they're kind of out there on their own, but they've been doing it for the better part of 25 years. They've been collecting their own data.
They like it.
Yes, they do. There's a lot of 2-stroke engine manufacturers up here in this part of the woods, so they're becoming the experts.
Good on them. French widening the gap over Vanacore. Miller coming under attack. Brian French takes the spot back.
See the size of the car and that Walt that Brian French is running compared to that Windfirst chassis that Jason Miller's in. And a great shot there. You can just see the scale of these different chassis.
Right.
French is just continuing to just say, okay, well, I saw the green flag and I'm going to go. While Todd Vanacore tries to chase him down. But this pack here, they all want to stay under that podium. There's about 5 cars right now. I think they can get it.
These cars remind me of the days of the so-called new Can-Am, when basically classic Indy cars were taken and put full body work on. Chassis like a Walt or a Swift or an Elan. Those are single-seater open-wheel chassis makers, so it's an easy step, I would think, to go to full body work on these cars using composite materials. They are fun to watch, and this, for my money, is the most beautifully turned out field of cars that we've seen.
These are just amazing pieces of machinery. Just going around a track as they're intended. Any other track would just be too small for these. These need these big 4-mile, big corners, big straightaways.
For 4th place, this big bunch of cars coming at you.
Todd Slusher back there in the number 26 seems to have lost his pace a bit. Remember at the restart, he was up there in the top 3, and he has faded quickly. He's the fourth car in that shot, but these two is the battle for fourth.
People getting antsy. Carousel on lap 9. Cars are just nailed to the track. Thanks to the aerodynamic downforce. Every racer's friend. Back in a moment. The fading light of a late afternoon in eastern Wisconsin, historic Road America, the final race of the 2020 Sports Car Club of America National Championship runoffs. It's coming around to complete lap 10 and begin lap 11. Or excuse me, the race leader.
Motivated. He's got some adrenaline going. He's got the target out in front. He's trying to chase down. But James French is trying to disappear from that target that Vanacor's fixing on. James French is just trying to disappear into the sunset, literally.
James French has been in 5 previous runoffs races with 3 third-place medals to show for it. All bronze, no silvers, and no golds. If he wins this one, it'll be his first national championship.
Just watching this pack racing at the highest level with these fast cars is just great. Behind there is Greg Case of Dunlop, Illinois. Again, relatively local. John McAleer, the number 88. Defending champ is trying to take a bit of a look at Jason Miller as they come down towards Canada Corner. top end power on that Kohler looks pretty good. He was able to open up a bit of a gap going down there after the kink, or he's maybe a hair lighter through the kink. And see how they look on the front straight. And Slusher's right under the back, coming off of 14. This will give us a good indication of who's got the power. He's pulling is Miller.
Yes, he is. See if he drives a defensive line into turn one. Just to keep Slusher behind him. See Slusher pulls right up on him, makes the move down through two. He's got the inside line for three and makes the pass. So we have that position change. The order is now French, Vanacore, French, Schaff, and Slusher. We'll be back. James French is your leader from the tire rack pole position. Working lap 12 of 13. The white flag will wave next time by for the resident of Sheboygan, Wisconsin. An easy 20 to 30 minute drive from here. This is his home track. These are his home people. Oh, Miller is off and on again.
I think exiting 5 there. He's had some trouble on the brakes. We saw that Slusher was catching him in all the braking zones. This could be another case of that.
Slusher dives for the inside. Miller turns in.
Oh, he had a little bit of help there from Mr. Slusher.
You think?
Coming through 5.
Okay. I kind of thought he did it by himself, but
I think just a hair of contact.
doesn't take much, I'm sure.
Wow.
You're driving on the racer's edge. Back to French, the race leader. The white flag has waved.
He keeps getting faster, even with the margin like now at about 8 seconds. He just set the fastest first sector on the last third sector on the last lap. The reset the fastest lap of the race, and he just continues to pound away. 4 miles to go.
With the departure of Chip Romer in that crash, James French has had very little in the way of competition. Remarkable in a field of cars as similar as these are. So we're down to the last few miles of this year's runoffs. And it's not over yet.
James French again just reset first sector fastest. He doesn't care how many laps are left, doesn't care what his margin is. He is flying.
Oh. Ride him, cowboy.
He hung on to that.
Well done. 45 is Brian French. An entirely different chassis engine setup than James. But right now, the two Frenches figure to be on the podium. But if there's one thing we've learned at this year's runoffs, it's not over till everybody gets to the checkers. And here's the man who shall lead them as things currently stand through Canada Corner, up through the curves of Billy Mitchell Bend. One more corner for James French. He's had it all his own way. He's been to the runoffs before. He has never won a national championship until now. James French is your Prototype 1 national champion. Here comes Todd Vanacore, who will not get the super sweep, but he got as close to it as you can get without getting it, finishing second here at the runoffs in class, followed home by Brian French in his Ralt. And Darrell Schaff, Todd Slusher, and John McAleer.
It's a really quality race there. A lot of great battles in the middle of those packs. But James French, you know, with the restart there, he was under pressure for a little while and just able to hit those marks and just lay down some fantastic fast laps. And Brian French able to emerge from the pack and slowly pull away from the rest of them, kind of leaving the Schaff and Slusher and Miller pack behind him to defend for themselves, to make sure he solidifies his spot there on that podium. Great day for the French family.
The traditional salute from the corner workers and the fans as the racers go by. Setting sun casting a glow over Road America. Very appropriate for the moment, I think.
And for Todd Vanacore, 7 previous starts, finally getting to step on that podium up there with that silver medal.
Yeah, hopefully that's some consolation.
Looking at the two French drivers side by side there. Bit of a wave to each other. It's a great shot.
Yeah. Great way to end the weekend. Whoops.
That is not the way that he wanted to end his.
John Dunchus from Naples, Florida, off the road twice, as I recall. But yes, that's not the way he wanted to end his runoffs. And here's how it happened. That's in turn 13, I believe.
Yeah. Just want to spend a little bit more time there in Billy Mitchell Bend.
It's a pretty violent pirouette. But he seems okay.
Just hop out of the car, head up the hill, and get yourself a bratwurst before the stand shuts down.
You can walk home from there. And so the fleet is making its way back to pit lane, to victory lane, in the case of James French, Todd Vanacore, and Brian French. We'll be back in just a moment. Very, very cool cars.
Oh, I can't wait to hear from James and from Todd and Brian here. Satisfying.
There's a great look at victory lane as our top 3 finishers in Prototype 1 bring these 2020 SCCA National Runoffs to a conclusion. There's James French, your winner. Todd Vanacore already in place in second, and Brian French will join them in third. As you can see, it's a tight fit in these cockpits. It helps that the steering wheel comes off.
But somehow it's a little harder to get that wheel out of your way, a little harder to get the arm restraints, a little harder to get the helmet off when they're about to hand you your gold medal.
That's right. That's what they have someone there to drape it over your head. See, Tom O'Gorman is right there, ready to chat with him when James gets his helmet off. The all-important Hans head.